Hey everybody, welcome to a brand new show on Google Hangout. This is A Kirk Sports, episode 1. My name is Andrew Kirk. You guys can find me on Twitter at CSU A Kirk. And the new sports blog is A Kirk Sports Recaps at .blogspot.com. Got two very special guests today. Had the opportunity to talk with them. One of them lives with me. So say hello to Corey and Kyle. They both call Stanislaus Warrior baseball games. How we doing, fellas?
We're doing well.
What's up?
What's going on, man?
You guys got any, before we get started, you guys got any social media links you want to shout out real quick?
To be honest, yeah, I mean, you can follow me at Twitter at I am Corey Kirk. I do tweet a little bit here and there, but other than that, we focus mainly on just our email address.
Yeah. I'm a Stone Age guy, man. I don't really do social media. I have Snapchat, and that's about it.
Yeah, where can people reach you if they want to ask you anything regarding what you guys have been doing?
That would be do my email at kwilcox@csustan.edu.
Mm-hmm.
Corey had to take a phone call real quick.
Okay. So like I mentioned, if you guys don't know, I'm on the signal list. I'm on the Stanislaus State newspaper this semester in Turlock, California. And I actually got a chance to speak with these guys. So, Kyle, what I want to know is back when I did the article for you guys, how has your expectations of this internship changed from when I talked with you guys before you guys started your internship?
Well, I mean, as far as expectations, they still remain the same even before we started. You know, we wanted to execute broadcasts. You know, we wanted to learn a lot, and I would have to say that we really have. I mean, you talked to us before we kind of embarked on these hold on one second, I gotta unlock the door real quick. Sorry about that. That was before we started our broadcast, you know, so we were really excited and also kind of nervous at the same time to be live talking baseball games. But if anything, we were really excited, and it's been a process. Our first broadcast is dramatically different from our third one that we just did. We have one next week, and I feel like next week will probably be the best one we've had.
It's been a learning curve pretty much from the beginning, and we knew coming in that we were going to have the biggest chip on our shoulder to try to prove ourselves. Not necessarily to anybody except to ourselves, to be honest. But, we knew that we were going to have a lot to learn.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't do this to impress listeners. We did this to, kind of show ourselves that we could do this. You know, this is what we've wanted to do for a long time. So it was kind of just we wanted to make sure that we could do this because this is what we're going to school for. So, I mean, I have to say it's been reassuring.
Was there anything like different that you thought was going to happen, but it happened differently when you guys began the internship? Like, was there any changes from what you expected?
Well, I can definitely say from the beginning we were hoping that we could do a lot more than just baseball games. You know, coming into the semester, we were hoping we could do like every game.
We wanted to do I think what we were talking about was at least 7.
Yeah, we wanted 7 Saturday games to do. You know, and it just didn't work out that way just because the station is full of students that need the time to go in there and do their shows. So,
and we had a little bit of an ego check right there because we definitely wanted to. Bring baseball into radio, especially here at Stan State. But it was definitely an understanding that at KCSS, I mean, it's just a very big learning process of becoming a broadcaster. And that's the first and foremost thing that they focus on.
Hmm. Now, from talking with you guys, as well as talking with Greg, as well as hearing you guys at the internships lecture on my Conquerors class Wednesday, this is something that they haven't done in a while. Do you think that with you guys being like the recreators, if I'll say that, do you guys feel like this will continue with sports like, I mean, we don't have a football team, unfortunately, but sports like basketball, maybe even soccer?
I mean, we can only hope. I mean,
we can only hope.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's a big factor is that, our friendship mainly began on a mutual interest. I mean, that's how everything worked. I got presented by somebody that worked at the station in Giselle, Montoya, with the idea of doing this. he brought it into a limelight of turning it into an internship. I was going to do it on a volunteer basis, to be honest. And he was like, hey, let's do something where I could build a resume. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. And so, I mean, we can only hope that people would be interested in doing something like that. And, you know, we could pass the torch when we both graduate in the next year. But, you know, that's it. You know, all we can hope is we can inspire people that want to go into sports broadcasting to give it a shot.
Yeah, I mean, we put the information out there that the studio, the equipment, it's all available. It's just a matter of people wanting to do it. I mean, Greg, that was one thing Greg kept emphasizing to us, is that we've had this stuff for years, but nobody ever asks to do it. So it's like, well, why didn't we take advantage of this earlier? Because we didn't know. So what we're trying to do is trying to start something here where we want people to know that there is a sports broadcasting thing, whether it's baseball, soccer, basketball, that it's here, and that if you want to do it, it's available to take advantage of.
And yeah, we did talk a lot about baseball, especially in that presentation. But you know, if you have a preference on what you want to do, feel free. I mean, if you're a big fan of soccer and you want to get into soccer broadcasting, go for it. You know, we're big baseball fans, but in the end, you know, we prefer any type of sports broadcasting that occur here at KCSS.
Mm-hmm. Now, going into this internship, I mean, being a baseball team, like, what knowledge did you guys know any of the players, or did you guys just go into this kind of not blindsided necessarily, but with like an open mind to like who's on the team? Like, what research did you guys have to do before your first game against Monterey Bay?
You should hear our first podcast. I mean, to be honest, we pronounced almost every single name wrong.
Yeah.
I had no knowledge of anybody that was on the team other than a guy by the name of Clayton Miller, who I played baseball against in high school. You know, it was 100% going in with an open mind and understanding that, you know, hey, you're going to have to pick up on a few things that you weren't necessarily focusing on prior.
Yeah, I mean, I actually knew a couple of the players on the team beforehand, but not enough to say I knew the team, you know. I mean, I knew maybe 3 players. One of them, actually 2 of them that played last year aren't on the team anymore, and 2 of them that I know are on the team, but they're not starters. So, I mean, I knew people on the team, but not enough to say, you know, I knew a lot. So it was definitely a new experience for us. Like Corey said, the names were tough to pick up at first. We didn't know anyone's numbers. You know, it was something we had to do a lot of research on.
Mm-hmm. I remember on I don't know if it was Warrior Talk episode 1 or 2, which you guys can find on. You guys can go ahead and plug that real quick.
It's at kcss.net. Go to the podcast link that's on the top page. Also, if you are into SoundCloud, that's where the podcasts are put. So don't hesitate, go to the SoundCloud page, like KCSS, and you'll be able to get the podcast linked to you at any time through the SoundCloud app, which you can get in your phone, which I found a few weeks ago, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, you guys have a podcast as well as the campus rep on campus, Raina. I don't know her last name. She has a meet the professors thing on that SoundCloud page, so guys, check that out. But anyways, I remember hearing you guys on your first podcast. Corey, you said the team's going to go 20-29. Well, right now they stand at 19-23. So they definitely exceeded your expectations, bro.
To be honest, that was, in my opinion, if they had a season like that, then that would have been a huge improvement from where they were. I believe they were 12-31.
Yeah, that sounds
the year
about
prior,
right. 12
roughly.
and 29.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. So, like, we knew going into this that it was going to be kind of up and down, but in the end, we were kind of giving them the highest expectations, not necessarily as broadcasters, but as fans. You know, recently becoming fans of the program, we were just kind of realizing that, hey, like, these guys are going through a bit of tough times with how their record is showing. You know, we got to support them, we got to back them up, and understand, oh, hey, like, look at their stats, look at their roster, look at their big part is their age, and see how much they're going to improve.
Yeah, I mean, they had two great hitters last year that returned this year, in Marcus Mastroboni and Skippy Ferreira, who were 1-2 in the CCAA batting average last year. They were first and second in the whole league. This year Skippy is not the same, but Marcus is definitely up at the top 5 in batting average again. So they have 2 great hitters on the team. Their pitching wasn't very good last year. And you can't really rely on just 2 guys to carry the team. But this year we saw a little bit just by looking through their stats. Getting to know some of the players, you can tell they had more talent this year.
Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've noticed personally, and I want you guys to touch on this, they got a really young team. I mean, as far as I know, they only have 3. How many seniors are there? 3?
We're being told they have 11 seniors.
11 seniors?
Yeah. And Marcus and Skippy are both seniors, as well as Aaron Godinez, who's their closer, their best bullpen pitcher. So that's three players that will not be here next year.
Here's a big factor, though. In their infield, outside of Marcus, everybody that's in the infield is either a sophomore or a junior. With Heller being a junior, I think Chavaria is a junior as well.
So.
And then Ippolito and Molina are both sophomores.
Yeah. And their pitching staff, their starting pitchers are pretty young too. Murphy's only a freshman. Vumard, I believe, is a junior.
No, he's a sophomore.
Yeah, I mean they have young pitching, so I mean that's something to look forward to.
I'm just going down the schedule right now of the games early in the season. They unfortunately, once they started the league against Chico, they had a rough patch. Ended up going they only won 1 game in conference by the time you guys called your first game. Was it kind of what were you going into the first game against Monterey Bay, March 14th? What was your guys' expectation on how the team would do?
I don't think I had a
set of I was gonna say I don't think I had an expectation either. We kind of just went in there with an open mind and said, you know what, these guys are either gonna be good or gonna be bad, and they didn't do too well against Monterey. They played well, but they didn't win any games against Monterey. But I think it was that series after that they kind of was their turning point.
Yeah, and I mean against Monterey, we kind of realized these guys are good because did they win? No, they didn't, but they competed. That was the most impressive thing that was showed during that series against Monterey is that, yeah, they're young, but they're going to get better. And it was able to show later on in the season.
You could see the talent on the team. It was just a matter of time for the talent started meshing together and, them becoming a strong unit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what has been showing, the past couple of weeks when they just started going on a tear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And after that game, guys, their record was 6-13. So they've won. They've been about 13-6 in their last 19 games. 13-10.
And a big factor of why that occurred, and we both talked about it on many occasions, was when Coach Kenny ended up changing the pitching rotation.
Yeah.
He would always throw Tyler Murphy on Friday nights and would have Nick Fumard, and then pretty much it was up in the air on who was going to throw after Nick every Saturday game. What they ended up doing is they ended up moving Tyler Murphy to pitch the 7-inning game on Saturdays, which is the second game. And, every single time he's pitched, to be honest, I don't think a person in the bullpen has ever come in.
Yeah, I mean, Murphy's
outside of the last weekend series.
Yeah, I mean, Murphy's pitched like 3 complete. I mean, he in his defense, I mean, he pitches the 7-inning game, but still, I mean, he's pitched I think 2 or 3 complete games in the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and then they ended up moving a guy, Chris Sent, on to Fridays, and Chris has impressed a lot of people. And he has not necessarily the best record to show it, but I believe in the 3 or 4 games that he started on Fridays the last few weeks, he's won, I think, 3 and lost 1.
Yeah, and again, the game against Cal State, the series against Cal State LA, he pitched a great game against LA's best pitcher. It was a duel. He unfortunately didn't get the win because it went into extra innings where Godinez got the win later on, but. Mm-hmm. It was, I mean, the way they switched the rotation, it just looked like it's just been working. I mean, Coach Kenny made a great decision there, and he also has been putting rookie Blake Wilson on Sundays after David Snap was was in the lineup or in the rotation, but he eventually, I believe, he's been injured for a while, so that's what led the way to Wilson being promoted.
Yeah, and Blake Wilson, him being a freshman, you were kind of hard on him on the first game when he came into relief, but that's another story. You know, he
was wild from what I remember, wasn't he?
He just walked a lot of people.
Yeah, he got in trouble, but the most important thing is he got out of it.
Yeah,
and I didn't. I was kind of rough on him on our first broadcast.
But he has such a high ceiling. I mean, yeah, he is working alongside Tyler Murphy, and Tyler Murphy is a few steps ahead of him, but like he has so much more room to improve, and he doesn't necessarily win often in his games, but he gives the Warriors a chance to compete with how he's been pitching.
Yeah, I mean, he did get the win against San Diego this past week, and the only game that they won against UC San Diego, who's ranked 27th in the nation. He got a win against them. He only allowed 1 run. So, he pitched well against a very good team.
Mm-hmm. And for those of you guys who don't know about Stanislaus State baseball, last couple years they haven't performed well. They won their first series for the first time in, was it 3 years?
3 years.
Yeah, and I mean they won. Let me go down
against San Francisco State.
And then they ended up
from the point when they were on spring break, like the week before spring break, and then after that they were on fire. I mean, they won about 7 of 8.
About that, yeah, they swept Cal State Bernardino during spring break, and that was the first series sweep that they've had since 2012.
I mean, a big factor is, and I feel like you're going to be able to talk a lot about this, is when they ended up finding the DH and one of your favorite players in Robinson.
Mr. Stevie Robinson. The guy stands at 5'9", but he's a trooper out there. He's a trooper.
He's like the best possible person you can put after Stetson.
He
ends up getting on base quite often. He's in my opinion, he's the best situational hitter they have. They get Stetson on base regardless of how a walk, a bunt, a base hit, anything like that. And then it's literally on Robinson's shoulders to get him into scoring position, whether it means him getting on base or getting out, to get guys like Marcus Mastroboni, Skippy Ferreira, Nick Molina, Michael Chavarria, just a chance to get Stetson home. And I feel like Robinson plays a big factor in that.
He does. And, Stetson, too, does play. That guy seems to always get on base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talking about some of these guys. You got Scott Stanton. You got a guy who's been looked at by professional scouts and Marcus Mastroboni. For people who aren't familiar with the Turlock and Stan State baseball, who are some guys that we might see come in drafts for years to come? Throw out a couple of names.
Well, the main guy I believe who would have the biggest chance is Marcus Mastroboni. We've heard he's got scouts from the Boston Red Sox, coming to check him out. He played in the Cape Cod League, and that's how he kind of got in the Red Sox radar, I believe, last year, which is a very highly touted baseball league. It's a summer league.
Yeah, and what I like doing in our podcast and sometimes in our broadcast is to compare these Stan State baseball players to Major League Baseball players so they could understand what type of talent we've been seeing on the field. And a guy like Marcus, I compare him to a Jason Varitek. The reason why I compare him to Jason Varitek, for one, is that Jason was a very great hitter during his prime. Would always get on base, would always get RBIs. Wasn't necessarily hitting home runs all the time, but was always having a high average.
That, and he wore the C on his jersey.
Very important too, because we feel like Marcus is the heart and soul of this team.
He is. He's a big leader on that team.
And also, in my opinion, the biggest factor in why I compare him to Jason Varitek is that he commands this pitching staff. This pitching staff is so young. As a junior, a sophomore, freshman, and a freshman. In the pitching staff for every series. When these guys get a little shaken up, Marcus comes out, talks to them, calms them down, brings him back into the game, gets him out of the inning, and it's so impressive to see that.
It is, and he saves them a lot of times too. I mean, he's really good at finding the ball in the dirt and saving it from going to the backstop. I mean, he's a very commanding catcher. I mean, defensively and offensively, he's really good on both sides.
He's shown up pretty much every single catcher we've seen, to be honest.
I believe so.
Yeah, because some catchers had great stats against teams in the CCAA, but when we come to see them, they ended up going 1 for 3, 1 for 4, but most of anything, every ball that got thrown in the dirt against, I can't remember the guy's name, but he ended up never catching a single one of them.
No, that was Welker against LA.
Mhm.
Yeah, he had a really rough time. Cal State LA's catcher. He was batting like 425, I believe, a huge average, but his defense was pretty awful that day. So I mean, it's not always just about the average. It's about the all around, being offensively aware and defensively aware, being good on both sides. So Marcus has that on both sides.
Yeah. Who else on the team do you guys feel like has a chance of maybe even playing as semi-pro or professional baseball? I know you guys are big. Both enjoy Scott Stinson's gameplay. Kyle, why don't you talk about what you had a chance to speak with him a couple weeks ago. Why don't you tell us about Scott Stinson and what he brings to this Stan State baseball team?
I think his biggest factor is he's got to repeat a season that he's having right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that's going to have to happen to him.
Yeah, because I believe he's new. I believe he transferred here. I forgot which school, but he's a junior this year. The kid's great. I mean, he's a great center fielder. I always comment on how well he tracks fly balls down out in the field. He just seems like he just kind of just plucks them with ease out of the air. He's really fast, and he always seems to make contact on the ball. And he gets on base.
His on-base percentage is absolutely insane. I mean,
it is.
Yeah, he's from LA Valley College.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, his on-base percentage is very wild. I feel like also if this guy puts just a little bit more work in, he'll definitely have a serious consideration. That's Tyler Murphy. I mean, yeah, he's impressed a lot of people, but I feel like he still has a lot of work to do.
Yeah, a lot to learn.
Yeah.
A lot to learn because he is young, and the thing is, like, he's having a decent season, but he can't let that go to his head. He's got to be grounded, and he's just got to improve on his mechanics and everything, because, I mean, he's got 3 – if he plays the rest of his career at Stanislaus, that gives him 3 more years to really, really improve and to show everyone he's a great pitcher because, I mean, he's from Turlock.
Yeah.
This is his hometown, so, I mean, we always got his family sitting in front of us when we're watching the games, I mean, a lot of people know who he is, just like Nick Vumard. I mean, it's kind of cool on Saturdays to have Vumard and Murphy both pitch, who are both Turlock grown kids,
And more importantly, they're Stan State's 2 best pitchers, and they're going to be here for the next few years.
One thing that I want to mention about Murphy is he's basically, I don't want to call him a celebrity in Turlock, but he's definitely well known in Turlock. I mean, he's got beginning of the season, the paper that I'm on, the Signal, we did a spotlight on him. I know Turlock News, Turlock Journal, Turlock City News did a feature on him. Do you feel like he's doing well with the pressure that the media has on him, or do you feel like it's pressuring him to perform well?
You can tell that he puts a lot of pressure on himself in every start that he has. Yeah, he puts it on himself to take the team into, as far as he can, to put them in the best position possible. I
don't believe the media is putting much pressure on him. I think the media mainly just wanted to spotlight his injury that he occurred in that boating accident a couple years ago and how he's managed to come back and still play baseball. I think it was mainly just a highlight.
Yeah,
I don't think it's too much.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with his play. I mean, I feel like the biggest factor is it's just his competitive side. I mean, a lot of us, I know I can attest personally. Whenever I competed in any type of sport, let's just say baseball, I would put a lot of pressure on myself because I wanted to give my best when I'm out there. So, being able to have that mentality and see it in a guy like Tyler Murphy, it makes it really easy to relate because what type of frame of mind he has. He's sitting there thinking, he goes, hey, I want to put the team on my back. I want to be the reason why we win. It just having that mentality, you just see when things get a little too pressure, you can see that he's putting a little bit of pressure on himself. Is he cracking? No, he's not cracking. But you can tell that he's like, hey, you got to do this.
Yeah, you could see it on his face too when he's pitching. he's not one of the ones that's going to like scream or throw his mitt down, but you can kind of just see when pitches aren't going his way. You can just see it's written on his face, basically. You know, you can just see in his facial expressions, like he's getting irritated, he's getting flustered, but he doesn't lose his cool. You know, which I've seen Heller do a couple times. James Heller is probably one of those guys when he doesn't put out as he expects, you can see he gets mad. He'll throw it. You've seen him, you know, throw the bat down. You've seen him yell. You know,
I've personally seen him get ejected.
I
mean, it's just I guess you could say it has to do with just a little bit of, you know, being a little bit more mature.
Yeah.
About how you handle yourself, because even though you're in college, you know, you are an athlete and you got to be as professional as you possibly can. But I mean, just because instances like that happen, it doesn't attest to his character or anything. I mean, we all lose our cool when it comes to a situation like that. So, I mean, going back to what we were talking about, Murphy puts the pressure on himself, but I don't think any outside pressure gets to him at all.
Yeah, very true. I don't think any of it's exterior. I think it's all just him.
Let's transition into his pitching rotation partner from Saturdays. You guys have called
every game's been Vumard.
So I mean, I hope you guys know his name very well, Nick Vumard.
Yes.
First start against Cal State Monterey Bay. It was a rough one. I remember being there. It was the first game that, I don't know. Kyle, did you go to any games prior to the first one that you guys called?
No.
So this was the first game that we've seen the team, period. So, I mean, his first start was a little bit rough. Monterey Bay was definitely a good hitting team. Talk about that start and then what he's done to basically bounce back from that start. Kyle and I saw him pitch against Sonoma State very well. He pitched well against San Francisco State. Talk about the transition he did from your first game to your second game that you guys called with him, as well as the last one.
It all had to do with confidence. I feel like that was the biggest thing that we talked about, because we feel like he cracked under pressure against Monterey.
Yeah, and the thing is that game he struggled, but the team bailed him out on that one. He ended up getting the loss because it was close, but they ended up bailing him out in that game and scoring and tying the game up, even though they ended up losing later on. But I mean, he's either on his stuff or the way he trying to think, he has a problem walking people. I mean, this last start against Cal State LA, against LA, he walked 8 people. You know, he threw like 130 pitches. I mean,
no, it was San Diego that he threw.
Oh, San Diego. I'm sorry. Yeah, he walked 8 against San Diego. LA, the game against Cal State LA, that was probably his best showcasing game that we watched. I mean, he went, I believe, 7 innings, and Sauls and Godinez ended up doing setup close that game.
Was that LA? No, that was San Francisco.
You sure it was San Francisco?
Yeah, it was San Francisco, because you know, I was able to interview him through our podcast.
Because they lost in the LA game. I'm sorry. Yeah, San Francisco was probably his best game. Cal State LA, they ended up losing at the very end of the game, and that wasn't even on him. That was on Fairchild's putting too many people on the bases. You know,
the comparison that I gave Vumard for viewers that haven't seen him pitch is a bit of a Matt Cain. He has that command. He has that presence of him, you know, that is very impressive. And the one thing that I always say is he's very cerebral-like. He's going to beat you mentally before he beats you, you know, physically. And when he has that utmost confidence, which we've seen against San Francisco and Cal State LA, he's impressive. He's very impressive. And it's just like, it's not a matter of if I beat you, it's a matter of when.
Yeah, and the kid's also an innings eater. I mean, every game he's in there at least 5-6 plus innings, and he throws a lot too. I mean, he's over 100 every game. I mean, every time he pitches, he's a workhorse for the Warriors. That's for sure. You know,
and not to mention,
he's got to be a lot in a 19, 20-year-old's arm too, throwing 130 pitches a game.
Oh yeah,
and not to mention, he's a stand-up guy. He really is. I mean, after interviewing him, he knows who we are and everything like that. So he comes up to us, talks to us, jokes around a little bit, and if through a media aspect like what we do, and with radio and through Warrior Rewind and everything like that, you get to know their personalities, and it makes it even more fun to root for them.
It is, I mean, Great guy. Corey got to interview him, and it was cool to get to know him and see how his attitude is, off the field.
Couple more questions, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. Give me a guy or two that people who aren't around there, or people who go to San State who haven't been in a baseball game. Give me a name or two that we should look out for next year that people don't know yet.
Nick Molina. Nick Molina, hands down, he is probably the young warrior with the most potential, in my opinion. A big factor that he's been having issues with is his strikeouts. He is second in strikeouts, I believe, behind Clayton Miller. And thing is his batting average is now up to 294. He hits, I believe he hits fifth now in the lineup. He used to hit back like almost seventh or eighth back in the earlier part of the season. He, hands down, is one of the best defensive third basemen I've ever seen. A lot of bunts that have gone his way, he's ended up barehanding and throwing it to first, which is really cool to see. And, it only just shows that if he improves his plate discipline and doesn't swing at, wild pitches like he has, all it can happen is that he's going to be getting better and better.
Kid's got a great arm. One player I would like to highlight to watch out for, who's going to be having to step up next year, is Eric Colombini. He will be stepping into large shoes to fill with Marcus Mastrobuoni leaving. But Eric Colombini, the backup catcher, has power, and I think he's going to show everybody that he could be the predecessor to Mastrobuoni pretty well next year.
He ended up hitting a home run when we were at, I can't remember, I think it was Cal State LA's game, where he ended up going opposite field. Yeah, I think he was batting left. Yeah, I think he was batting left-handed and ended up going around over the right. No, actually, it was right-handed and ended up going over the right field fence.
Yeah.
And it was so impressive because the dude has some serious power. He is going to be Marcus Mastrobuoni, but with a lower average and more home runs.
I believe he's second. I think he's tied for second on the team in home runs this year, and he doesn't play every day. He usually plays the second game of Saturdays. And he pinch hit against LA in the bottom of the ninth, and he almost got one out that tied the game. Mm-hmm. We thought it was gone, but it ended up the outfielder Jose Cuevas ended up making a great catch for Cal State LA. But he is, I think everyone should look out for him.
Yeah. So lastly, they got two series the next 2 weekends. You guys are calling May 2nd against Cal State East Bay. Right now they're in Cal Poly Sonoma. Can't even say that. How do you think they're going to do? I mean, they just came off a very tough series against UC San Diego, the number 1 team, and now they got to go play the number 2 team. It's got to put a lot of pressure. It's got to be a lot. It's got to be tough to play these 2 teams back to back.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that.
Especially with the streak that they've been in, that they were in before they faced San Diego.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego didn't allow them to score a run in the first 3 games. So, I mean, I would expect the Warriors to play better this weekend, but Pomona is better than San Diego, so it's going to be a tough series. We're looking for the Warriors to surprise us all. It'd be good to see them.
I say exceeding expectations, they take 2 out of 4. But if they could get 1, then that's a good weekend over there, to be honest. Because Pomona is great. They're a great team. But when East Bay comes in, they should sweep, to be honest.
Yeah, the Warriors should sweep them because, I mean, East Bay has like 4 or 5 wins on the year. That would be a team that the Warriors – we would definitely advocate that the Warriors will win in that game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Last question, then we'll talk about your guys' podcast. Next year, are the Warriors a playoff team?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Tough. I mean, their two leaders in Skippy Ferrer and Mastrobuoni are both leaving, and their best bullpen pitcher is leaving as well. So that's tough. Those are going to be a lot of holes to fill.
I guess you could just say wait and see.
Yeah, I'm not really much of a predictor, but I mean, I would definitely just come and watch them and see how well they do.
Are they better than are they going to be better than they are now? I believe so.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I think these guys the younger guys are only going to get better, and Murphy and Vumar pitching wise. So if they take this if they can end the year well, then take that confidence in next year, then I will say that they will probably do better next year.
Mm-hmm. So lastly, guys, I definitely want to thank you guys for coming on. It's definitely been a lot of fun. Tell us about you guys' podcast. We talked about it briefly in the beginning. Warrior Talk. Tell us about Warrior Talk.
Well, I mean, Warrior Talk is just pretty much discussing how the season's been going for Stan State. But not also that, but we also talk Major League Baseball topics as well. And we just focus on kind of a laid-back nature of talking baseball and just presenting ideas and just doing everything like that. And actually, since this is where we're at right now, we're in the process of beginning our final project, which is going to be an interview with Marcus and Skippy coming up here in the next few weeks, thanks to Trisha over there who's working on something else. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And what we're trying to do is just trying to present a very laid-back nature of talking baseball that involves Stan State and the MLB.
Yeah. And with that interview, we will be sitting down with them in the Warrior Rewind studio here at Stanislaus. And this will all be on camera. We will be interviewing them about their playing days here at Stanislaus and what their future plans are after graduating. So it'll be pretty cool. Well, it'll be up on YouTube. Don't know when yet. We're still getting the wheels turned on it, but that's definitely our next project to get done before the end of the semester.
It should be probably up within the next month.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with finals, everything coming, we'll hope it will be up by the end of May.
You guys got game 1 of the, game 2, excuse me, of the 4-game series against Cal State Hayward. That's gonna be next Saturday, May 2nd. Just shut it down. 12 p.m. start. Does that sound about right?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be 12 p.m. You guys can find that if you guys are in the Turlock area. 91.9. I'm actually at the ballpark. These guys know I'm at the ballpark. I have my little radio, $10. I got a $10 radio from Walmart the night before their first game. So I'm able to hear them at the ballpark. But if they're not at the ballpark, you guys can find them at kcss.net. You guys know this because I tell you guys this every time. You guys are doing a great job, and hope to see you guys do something like this. Even I know you guys are both finishing the fall, but I'm hoping to see you guys do something like this. Hopefully this isn't the end of you guys working together.
Oh yeah, it's not. It's been, to be honest, it's been a really great working relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, we challenge each other, which is the best part.
Yeah.
I mean, we challenge each other to be better, and in the end, you could call each other acquaintances through the journalism program, but through this, I could say that we've become really good friends.
Yeah, I believe so, man. I mean, I feel like we in a way complement each other when we're on the air. Doing either if it's us doing play-by-play or color commentary. I feel like we do pretty well together. And thanks for the compliment too. Man.
Yeah,
I always appreciate compliments.
I'm a little biased. I'm not gonna lie, because that guy on the left is related to me. So I'm like, I gotta, I gotta say he's doing a good job. And I'm not lying. You guys have been doing a great job. And I'm glad you guys were able to come on and chat with me today. This will definitely, guys who are listening later on YouTube, this will definitely be like a weekly show. Next week, I'm gonna have one of my good old friends from Block Talk Radio. We're gonna talk some boxing. So I'm kind of like, I don't really know much about the whole boxing thing, but I'm definitely gonna do some research. And the fight of the century. Now that I got you guys here, we'll get out of context real quick. Pacquiao or Mayweather?
That's tough. I hate Mayweather, but he's probably gonna win.
I mean, it's, to be honest, I think Mayweather probably has it as well.
I want him to lose, but he'll probably end up winning.
Trust me, I'm gonna root for Pacquiao, but it's also good to be a realist, and especially in a sport like boxing,
where he dominates it. So
yeah, that'll happen either probably Thursday, maybe Friday. I'm gonna definitely get in touch with a guy by the name of E. Allen, Mr. Factoid. So you guys can definitely tune in for that. Thanks, guys, for joining, and I'll definitely see you guys later.
If you guys have any type of questions or comments, don't hesitate to email myself at ckirk@csustand.edu.
Yeah, and I said mine at the beginning, kwilcox@csustand.edu. So thanks for the invitation, Andrew. Appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it, buddy. All right, later.
Take care.
Thanks, everybody.